What's up, everybody? I'm back with a new Vara Dark video. This one talking about the Kratos being replaced with his wife in a new God of War spin-off game. Yeah, and I seen the still image of the live action God of War series. I think it's gonna be a series. It looked fine. It's kind of weird that you kind of skipping over the crucial Greek era of Kratos, but I'm assuming they're going to use a lot of flashbacks of that time. But I don't know. It just seems like, it's weird that you're primarily going straight into the Viking era rather than starting from the beginning. Because once they reach to the critical point when, spoiler alert, when he faces himself, he actually had that one-on-one talk with his younger self and trying to get things off his chest, confronting his past, essentially. Uh, it probably would mean a whole lot more if he actually gone through the Greek era. But anyway, follow Vera Dark and her channel. Show your support, as well as check out my channel, Talkative Carl, on YouTube and Twitch, as I stream games, reactive videos, and review content. So, without further ado, let's check it out.
We've seen quite a few stumbles with God of War recently. Sons of Sparta was not received very positively. People are excited for the trilogy remakes, but it's going to be years before we see those. And the first images that we actually got of the Amazon series were not received so positively. But now we're getting information that Faye, Kratos' wife, is going to be the lead character in the next game, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions on this. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, in a perfect world, this would not be a cause for concern. In a perfect world, we would go, they've created quite a few good games. We'll see what's going to happen. But when we are talking about the company that race swaps Norse gods and the company that very clearly has replaced male...
Yeah, nobody liked the whole Angra race swap because putting black character in the role of a predominantly white character. It's been very rampant in the past, going near a decade now. It's been kind of rampant. I mean, people posted images of all the race swap characters. I'm pretty sure you can look it up online. Of all the race swap characters, especially race swapping known redhead characters with black people, it's gone too far. You have to admit it has gone too far. There are certain things that belong to white people. I'm sorry, it is. Okay? You pretty much jacking their history. Where it comes from Norwegian Viking era, or the Scandinavian, or anything that's European, it, Scotland and all that other stuff. It's anything that is known for their history. It's just rampant. Just just blatantly removing them, just to insert somebody of color in, and then got the nerve to say, "Oh, why are you making such a big deal of it?" Pretty much labeling them a bigot for even calling out the kind of, let's just call it what it is. It is racism. And just because they're white people doesn't make it okay. It wouldn't be okay for any other scenario, but because you want to make white people a punching bag, you can't, feel fine with that.
characters in the past in order to make way for strong, independent women. Yeah, this definitely is a massive red flag. Now, this is going to be a spin-off game. When you haven't even announced what the next full game is going to be, what the next mainline game is going to be, and you're announcing that Faye is going to be the lead character, this isn't what people have asked for. This isn't what people have really wanted. I've never seen people go, I would love a game as Faye with the main character. I mean, maybe if this was like a farming sim, I could definitely see it. But apparently it's going to be almost like DMC combat. It's going to be very different combat, which is just very strange, in my opinion. So Faye is now rumored to be the lead character of the next Sony Santa Monica game. It is a new franchise set in the God of War universe, so we don't exactly know where this would take place in the timeline, how far back it would be, but we also don't know if Kratos will be a part of it. One would assume he would be to a certain extent. Again, you don't really know. It is going to have very different gameplay with a bigger action focus, and the reveal will be this year with a 2027 release date in Faye.
Now, I'm on two minds about it because it's not necessarily on the surface a bad idea. It'd be kind of interesting to see, like, especially if you're doing like a how did she meet Kratos, and they got together, and her role in tempering his rage, especially after the events of what happened during the Greek regions. That'll be interesting. But given like her like DMC combat instead of like a traditional God of War style of combat, that seems off. This also seemed kind of out of the blue, considering that people are still waiting on the new mainline God of War game. What's going to happen after the events of the Viking era? What other lands he's possibly going to be getting into? Is Kratos and Freya going to get together, become like his third wife? That'll be interesting. There's a lot more stuff that we're probably more interested in rather than a Faye game. Now, I can see this more so maybe like a DLC. I think that is worthy. That little narrative is worthy of a DLC type of gameplay. But I'm a little interested. I want to wait and see if we actually get some gameplay and actually see in fruition. But yeah, this seems very left field.
Course, is Kratos' wife from the Norse saga. So I definitely have a lot of questions about this. I do want to see it. Obviously, I'm always willing to give a good look at a game and give a good look at a product and give it a fair chance. But at the same time, we are talking about Sony here, and we specifically are talking about Sony Santa Monica. Sony Santa Monica is filled with a lot of activists, and Sony in general is as well. We know that there is a push for more female characters and more really diverse hires within the gaming industry, and a set of diverse characters, even if it really doesn't make sense to the setting. And with God of War, again, everybody thinks of Kratos. We don't think,
they might definitely have some activists within Sony Santa Monica, but compared to something like Ubisoft or Blizzard, it's not as insidious. And plus, with the last DLC, where there's like so much to do within it, and it was completely free, and all the cool stuff that we got, with the deluxe or ultimate edition. I got the ultimate edition. It's probably the last time I actually bought something that large from a game in a long while. Don't hate it as much as I look at something like Ubisoft or Blizzard. So, like I said, I don't consider it as bad. But this is not discounting the fact that they probably do have some crazy woke leftists behind the scenes. That is not as, like, detrimental as the other studios have it.
Think of Faye. She's a fine side character, but she probably should stay that way. Though there's a lot of opinions. There are some people saying, oh my gosh, you're all chuds and losers for not basically instantly shilling for this game and not instantly saying this is like a 10 out of 10 idea. And then there are gamers who are saying, yeah, serious question, who asked for this? Aw shit, here we go again. This image is so funny.
I guess she's a frost giant, as I recall. It was just so doggone funny. The god of laundry, phase journey. Just so effed up. It's so messed up, man. Oh god. Oh yeah, and the whole axe thing, because that originally was technically hers, right? If I remember correctly.
Funny to me. God of Laundry, Phase Journey. It's her doing the laundry. It's so good. God of War's wife. Why is it called God of War if we're not playing as the God of War? Oh, because money. Because they need you to interact with this, and they need you to have your brand loyalty open your wallet. You know Kratos, you like Kratos, you know God of War, you like God of War, so you should also like God of War's wife. And that's why they want you to show up and buy this game. It's like how Disney does the live action adaptations, like Snow White, for example, and it's not Snow White in any way, shape, or form, but they're still going to call it that because of money. All Sony games being third person with female leads is so funny. Yeah, they're just like a one-trick pony at this point.
Yeah, like I like this comment here, bro. We're never getting Kratos in an Egyptian setting. Instead, we're getting 3 effing remakes, or these little short little spin-off stuff, like the recent God of War prequel, like just Kratos as a kid with his brother, which has not been received too well, considering the major complaint is the fact that they kind of sell it. They sold it to us like it's like you can play with another person, dual characters with Kratos' brother. But you only get that once you already completed the doggone game. So nobody's liking that. Now you got announced in this phase journey, which nobody asked for. It seems kind of pointless now that the overarching narrative is complete. But then again, I think reasonable people like Vara and myself is willing to give it a chance to see how it turns out. It might blow us away. Who knows? I personally have not been disgruntled by the God of War series. They have put out largely good products. So I'm willing to see. Not too hyped with mixing gameplay styles and something that doesn't allow it. Like, nobody wants to play a God of War game using DMC combat. It feels off. Who knows? It might make it work, but people just primarily are waiting to hear something about a continuation of the mainline story. Now, I think most people wouldn't mind just hearing from the creators, yes, we are working on something. Here's what I can tell you so far. This is the region we're going to. We're going to Egypt, or we're going to Christian lands, or we're going to the Japanese mythology. I think if you want to wrap up the entire narrative of God of War, you leave the Christian pantheon to be the last. But at least do something like that so we can wet our whistles and get a lot excited for any other new information within the year. But Phase Journey seems like okay.
Give me more God of War. Don't care who I play as. All these games with your favorite male protagonists are part of the same plan. Yeah, remove Joel, replace with a girl boss. Remove Geralt, replace with a girl boss. Remove Jin Sakai, replace him with a girl boss. Now it's time for Kratos. That is the plan we know.
Holy crap, they are right. When you put it like that, it seems very insidious. We're humans. We see pattern recognition. That's how we learn. And it seems like, okay, maybe the whole faith thing won't be as bad as these previous one is, but it's like that's me just hoping. But if I'm being realistic, how can you not end up like the Abby or the Winifred? I think that's her name from uh, the Witcher, or even like that the chick from Ghost of Yote. Like, how can you not worry that it will end up the exact same way? What will make Faye any different? Because we like Faye fine as the supporting character. She did her part. She was the, the I don't want to say shadow, but she was always present, especially when it comes to the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. But she didn't need to be more than that. You just clearly need an excuse to try to insert like a strong female lead when you already had like Freya. We all love Freya. Why did you feel the need to like bring up Faye?
Now, there are a lot of feminists in this industry, and they want strong, independent women to be the leads of games. There are a lot of people who feel like we need to make up for this problem in the industry, even though it's not a problem. There have always been strong women, and I think that you could probably write a way better woman than Faye for a lead of a new game, but they're not going to do that because they need God of War to be able to sell a title like this. The most male character these days on PlayStation is Astrobot, and I really don't know what Sony is doing right now. Why is it that they are so against listening to their customers? They could be making so much more money. If they didn't kill off Joel, they could have made a Last of Us 3 and made a boatload of cash. Instead, we have Naughty Dog making things like Intergalactic, and you're probably never going to see a continuation.
Jin Sakai's story. I love Ghost of Tsushima. Incredible game. I love it so much. Sunk so many hours into that game. But they took it upon themselves to replace the character with some lame ass female lead starring some crazy activist lady who can't put down her bucket of popcorn when she's at a Game Awards show looking weird.
Of The Last of Us. You had a strong, competent male character in Jin Sakai, and then they throw him away in order to replace him with Atsu. Kratos is getting replaced, at least in this spin-off, by his wife, and it really is infuriating because I know they're just trying to push an agenda. I know they don't really give a fuck about fan feedback, but they should, because they could be making so much more money and gamers would be so much happier that they would basically be able to sell anything to us. But we're not at that point anymore, and nobody trusts them. A lot of people are not excited for this, and well, consumer confidence in them is at an all-time low. And like I said, I'm willing to give any sort of game a chance. Maybe this will actually be revealed and it'll look cool and we'll all be interested. I just do not trust these companies anymore. They do not get my blind loyalty anymore. I always am going to be cautiously optimistic first and foremost, and then go from there. I expect nothing good from these companies, and so maybe they can pleasantly surprise me. I just highly doubt it. In other videos, I've also already talked about Sons of Sparta a few times, but this hasn't gone over particularly well with fans either. It is sitting at a 65 critic and a 6.0 user score. So this is the direction they've taken God of War in. They claim that this was a small passion project, but they felt confident enough to try to charge you $30 for it, and to top that off, there's things like co-op locked behind completing the game once, which really is a slap in the face to fans. And so it seems right now that they're putting all their money into whatever the next game is going to be. If this Faye game is going to actually happen, it is a rumor, take it with a grain of salt. It's coming from quite a few different leakers, though, that have notable track records, so I do tend to believe it. But when you see them releasing titles like God of War, Sons of Sparta, and they think that this is a good idea and this is what fans want, it just goes to show how out of touch Sony really is with their customer base. This was made by Mega Cat and Sony Santa Monica, but at the same time, it is going to reflect on the God of War brand, and yeah, things are just not looking super positive right now. I am curious to see this game. I am curious to see what is going to happen, when it is going to be
Is Deborah
set,
Ann Wall
what
the
they are
voice
adding
actress
to
of
this
Faye
experience. But yeah, when
from the
I
original
am
game?
going to play a God of War game, I actually want to play God of War, not God of Wife. So I will be covering this more in the future, I'm sure. There are some people who are already saying, oh my god, we need to support this, it's going to be great, it's going to be amazing, it's not woke at all. And then there are gamers who are saying, yeah, nobody asked for this, and you guys are just wasting time and money in order to push an agenda. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video.
I mean, yeah, like I'm willing to give it a shot because to me personally, like I said, Sony Santa Monica is, even though they might have some activists in the rooms, it just isn't as like insidious compared to most other studios. They don't go over crazy overboard like other studios have. But I'll wait and see. Once we see like some, if it's only a rumor, like I said, it's only a rumor, but if it turns out to be true, I'm willing to wait and see if there was any gameplay and more story behind it, so we can actually get like something to actually talk about and judge properly. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Did you ask for this, or are you at least interested? I'm curious. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Take care.